You guys, I need to tell you something about the living school at the Center for Action and Contemplation. I'm behind, actually behind, not I'm being humble or I'm a module late. I am a whole ass semester behind. Okay. And what's wild is that that might be the most honest spiritual thing that's happened to me in a while. If you don't know, the Living School is through the Center for Action and Contemplation, which Richard Rohr, James Finley, and the contemplative lineage. And the first trimester was a lot of the history. So Thomas Keating, centering prayer, contemplative Christianity, and what it means to not just talk at God and not just listen for God, but to exist within God. And that shift alone is huge. And not God as an external evaluator and not God as a cosmic scorekeeper, but life as participation in God. And so here's the irony. I agree with all of it. Intellectually, I'm in. Spiritually, I want it. And practically, I'm still irritable. I'm still restless. I'm still discontent. What the living school is showing me isn't how enlightened I am or should want to be. It's showing me how impatient I am. And I see how I act out in frustration and how I get restless, how I become discontent, and how it impacts the people and the relationships around me. And I've said it a million times and will continue to that my relationships are a direct reflection of my relationship with God. And so here's the embarrassing part. I think people assume that I'm naturally grounded. And I talk about sobriety, I talk about spirituality, I talk about alignment with God. And so maybe people think that patience just flows out of me. And it doesn't. It never has. That's why I chase these ideas in the first place. Sobriety is what exposed it, to be quite honest. In alcoholism, I drowned the discomfort, I drowned the disappointment, I drowned the frustration. But now in sobriety, I feel it and I feel it fully. Self will run riot, right? Irritable, restless, discontent. I can't stop saying it. And I'm being a control freak and being so frustrated and resentful. Like I'm very much aware of it now. And awareness is a different type of transformation, but it's just beginning. Now I can feel when I'm off. I know it. And so that's why I make amends faster. I humble myself faster. It still feels bad, but I don't hide from it. Because if I do, that's being dishonest and that actually will lead me back to a relapse. And now that's still growth, right? I'm still not the alcoholic that I was before, but it's still this real messy type of growth. Being self-aware is just not all the solution either. So getting behind in the living school is showing me something much more difficult to look at about myself. I delay things for myself. I overextend myself to others and I position myself as compassionate and as a caregiver, as the one who shows up. And yes, that's partly true. That is part of my personality. But sometimes it's also just ego. And I give from a sense of obligation and from politeness and from knowing what people socially want from me, right? And from wanting to be perceived in a certain way. And instead of stopping and asking, am I doing this from a place of love? I just do it. And here's the subtle shift. You can do the same exact action, but if it comes from a place of resentment and ego, it's going to land differently. And if I ground myself first, if I ground myself from a place of love instead of performance, the energy of what I do changes. And it changes me and that other person in a much more positive and genuine and authentic way. You know, it's the exact same inconvenience, but they're coming from different sources. And so far, that's contemplation in real life. And so then I have to really examine, what do I feel about being behind? When trimester 2 started, I was starting to spiral because I was like, oh my God, I'm not caught up. I should have said no to that thing. If I wouldn't have scrolled for 2 hours on Instagram, I would have been caught up by now. If I were more disciplined, if I was a better person, I'd be up to date here. That voice, I'm realizing, is a very corporate voice. It's a very capitalist voice. It's very productivity coded. To me, being late equals being immoral, and being behind is unprofessional. Not being optimized to max capacity is failure. But I'm hearing a very different message at the Center for Action and Contemplation. They're more like, hey, if you're behind, just catch up when you feel like it. If a module doesn't speak to you, skip it all together. If you want to move ahead, go ahead. There is no panic. There's no sense of rush in them. And I can always tell when someone is really deeply aligned with God because there is no sense of urgency or rush. There is no ego behind deadlines. I first saw this acted out on the Red Letter Christians retreat in 2023 that I went to. Nothing was on schedule. They had this very beautifully laid out agenda and everything was running late. And my former type A nervous system was just like, oh my gosh, it was so stressing out. But Shane Claiborne, all of the activist faith leaders there who were very busy and took so much time out of their lives to be there. They were just present. They were really enjoying each other. There was no moral panic about the clock. And so that's when I realized my obsession with timeliness is not a virtue. It's just anxiety. The living school keeps reminding me that the curriculum is my life. They're not the trimesters, not the PDFs, not the discussion board. It's my life. And so my reactions, my impatience, my boundaries, my relationships, this is the material. And it's yours too. I can share one personal example of this as well. My boyfriend. So he really grounds himself before he speaks. He pauses. He's a stable force. He doesn't react from his nervous system first. And to me, it's very stabilizing and goals for me, right? It's very confronting for me as well, because I see something in him that I want to cultivate. I don't want to mimic it. I want to cultivate it. I don't want to perform it. I want to become it. And at work, I'm practicing it so far. On conversations, I'm practicing it, and I'm trying to practice it from a place of authenticity, right? Where it's genuinely in me and coming from a genuine source. And I'm not trying to be this 100% serene monk all the time. I'll take 85%. And perfection has really, really lost its sparkle to me. I don't like perfection at this point. I don't want to perform spirituality. I want to inhabit it. So, yeah, I'm behind, but I'm also more aware and I'm more honest. I'm being humbled minute by minute. The living school isn't making me look enlightened. It's just making me look at myself. And maybe that's the actual work, not becoming someone else, sitting presently with the good, the bad, the impatient, the ego driven, the loving, and the unfinished parts of me, all holding it and holding all of it in God. That's a slower, but much more real lesson